Hi guys, let's look at gesture. Our objectives are explore the concept of gesture in drawing to develop expressive forms. And then second, brainstorm, develop, and sketch gesture poses before experimenting with foil maquettes. So we're going to be learning a little bit about gesture drawing and then using this information and sketches to create a gesture sculpture later. So our words worth knowing is line of action. So a line of action is a curved line that defines the direction and motion of a figure's pose. Think of it as summarizing that movement of the pose in one line. So it's a curved line that defines the direction and motion of a figure's pose. So here are some examples of good lines of action, and then I have the reference link down below of where you could see a whole bunch of other examples like this. So it's one line that's kind of like a C shape. It is not an S curve, so it doesn't go back and forth. It's just one quick kind of, like I said, C shape to summarize the pose. And some are a little bit more indented versus others, or curved. So establishing this line of action makes it very easier to compose your dynamic poses. So another example, and then here is the reference below. So something that's dynamic has that little shift to it. If it's just straight, it's a little bit more boring, a little bit more static, and you don't want to do that S-curve action. And we'll look at that next. So these are all really good lines of action. And then once you do that, you're going to fill out the body with the head, the rib cage, and the pelvis. So these are three independent parts of the figure, and they move kind of separately from each other. They're not stacked in a line. So you want to add these three ovals, and then again keep that rib cage and pelvis separate. They're two different things. The rib cage can be going one way and the pelvis going a different way. So you really have to study the pose you're looking at. This is not what you want to do. It is not just one big block. These two things are separate. And you also need to think about this when you're making a sculpture. So here's just a really quick example. There's tons of these over the internet on body proportions, but essentially it's one body is 8 heads long, and then you can see where all the different parts of the body kind of intersect. So when you keep the rib cage and pelvis separate, it is critical because this is how you draw a pose accurately. When you draw it as a blob, then it becomes not accurate. And then you also need to think about your pivot points. So where are the points that the body bends? Because this is where things will really create that feeling of emotion and movement. So the shoulder, the elbows, the wrist, the hip socket, the knees, and the ankles. So all of these are places where there's movement and angles. So again, you're going to draw your line of action. You're going to place your head, your torso, your pelvis with those ovals. And then you kind of just draw out the lines. And I like to draw just little like lines kind of in this diagram of where the bends are. And then I add bulk. That's how I do it. There's a million ways to do gesture drawing. I encourage you to kind of look at other people's videos too and examples so you kind of can find your own style of doing this. But here, let's go through an example together. So we're looking at the lady on the left who's in a really nice dance pose. So her line of action, a little bit of a curve at the top that it goes straight. Then her head is tilted this way. Her torso, her pelvis is different, so you can see the different angles. So this one, the top is her angle is here, the bottom her angle is here. And then you would start building up the leg, the knee, the ankle, the shoulders, and those parts. So on the right, it has that little curve and it goes down, and then I just drew that line for the legs. So her head, her torso, pelvis, and then look at the diagonals. What is these body parts facing? So they're very, very diagonal going down to the right. So I would like you to practice. I'll have some resources for you and we'll do some in class but I want you to find some dynamic pose references and create at least 10 sketches. If you're nervous to start, what you can always do is take a piece of tracing paper over the person or the printout and then just draw it out that way and then look at it so you can kind of get a feel for it before you just start doing it on your own, if that helps as a scaffold. So you want to consider people in motion, sports, dance, expressive gestures. So if I'm going like this is an expressive gesture because I'm stressed out, right? So anything like that. Think about movie scenes that are emotional scenes. What type of poses tell a story? If you want to take it up a little notch, you can have me or a partner in class. You can use the camera and photograph yourself or model in a certain pose that you want as a reference. And then if you want to even take it up a little bit more, have a partner in class pose from you and just draw from life and not have a reference at all. So you want to build up these series of sketches that you're going to use later as inspiration. You can also, as you're doing this, start sketching groups of people interacting with their gestures. So maybe it's 2 people playing basketball or 2 people dancing together. So you not only just have that one gesture, but you have 2 that are interacting. So remember, all of these sketches and things we're doing are going to further build into our final gesture project. So you want to have more to work from and really find something that speaks to you. All right, so I'll help you in class and I'll have some resources for you, and I can't wait to see what you do. Good job.